people that have ever trod this earth. I draw the line in the dust and toss the gauntlet before the feet of tyranny, and I say segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever.
Now with those who said that we would get here only over their dead bodies. Well, all the world today knows that we are here and we are standing before the forces of power in the state of Alabama saying we ain't gonna let nobody turn us around.
Oh, I'll be a slave. I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord.
I will never understand why you hate me so much, why you hate us so much. I will never understand why the color of my skin decides who I am. Why? Because I'm dark, I'm dangerous. I will never understand. But I do know that I don't want to sit back and watch my people die because of who they are. Black, beautiful people. We will fight for what is right, and we will fight for the justice we have deserved for so long.
Y'all think it's cool to kill black people and then get on paid leave? Answer that. Do you think
I'm George D. Crenshaw, the 103rd elected bishop of the AME Zion Church. Project 100 was given to me by God to assist in ensuring that 100% of registered members of the AME Zion Church would cast their ballots. And for those who were not registered would become registered members of our demographic. Project 100 is critical for the life of the AME Zion Church because once again, it places Zion on the vanguard of social justice and social change. Project 100 was not just about a presidential election, but about every election. Local elections provide much greater impact than national election. It is the vision, the mission, and the charge of Project 100 to raise a cadre of political proponents from within the family of Zion and through cooperative agreement with other denominations, that persons whom are committed to fairness and to equity would find support within our family. I ask, wherever you are, become a member of the Project 100 team and share your gifts and graces within the political process and advocacy of your local municipality. Thank you, and may God bless each of you.
My name is Anthony K.R. Gibson, and I am the International President of the Presiding Elders Council. And I have the privilege of serving as the chairperson for Project 100, serving with two amazing people in our church, Presiding Elder Hannah Broom and the Reverend Dr. Maturia Chase Williams. My goal today is to just have a conversation with you about what Project 100 means to me. After Bishop Crenshaw, who birthed this initiative in our church and quite frankly in our country, had the idea to galvanize people to make a difference in the civic process in our country, he tapped a leadership team that he believed would make a difference in the work that our church does. Zion has always been a leader in the clarion call for justice, the clarion call for fairness, equality, and yes, even freedom. And so we took the mantle from Bishop Crenshaw and we tried to design a platform and a program where people throughout our denomination would remember our history, remember who we are as the Freedom Church, and use that as a way to enhance and entice and caused a measure of enthusiasm throughout our denomination for the civic process. Yes, as we reflect back on the previous 4 years, we know it was a difficult time, and that was the impetus for us to have a platform where we could call all of Zion across this country to get out and exercise their civic responsibility to vote in the election process. But Project 100 is more than just voting. As a father, grandfather, clergy person, just as a citizen of the United States, we could not allow our country to retrogress back to a time when people were really ostracized and maligned, particularly because of color and socioeconomic status. And so Project 100 came about really as a call to help the church improve what is being done in our country and how we can participate in the process of making change a reality. If you look back at the history of our church with Sojourner Truth and with Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, they've all set the foundation for the call of freedom throughout our church. And so as I think about my granddaughter and my sons and others in my circle of family, I really wanted them to have an opportunity to understand the significance of the electoral process, the significance of a continuing participation in that process, and a responsibility to call others in their areas of influence to join in Project 100 to make a difference in the outcome of the election. We believe that it did in every area where we made the call to rally people to vote. In the past election, we can see that in the presidential elections, in the elections in Georgia, in the election in Arizona, in the elections in California, we believe Project 100 made a significant impact in the result of those victories. And it was because we came together as a denomination. We remembered our heritage and our history, and we decided that we would make a difference. We would leverage every resource, energy that we had to make sure that victory was obtained in those elections. Project 100 initially started as a call to action, but it has evolved into a movement within our church. The longevity of Project 100 is essential as it leverages every aspect of our denomination, calling people from the Christian Education Department, the Evangelism Department, the Lay Council, the Women's Home and Overseas Missionary Society, leveraging all of those various departments and their spheres of influence to really call people to understand the importance of voting and to continually participate in the electoral process. For example, most organizations like Get Out the Vote and other civic-minded organizations really only come to the forefront of the work that needs to be done when it's election time. What makes Project 100 different is that we want to continually educate our constituents throughout our denomination so that they understand the essential factors of what's being considered in local elections, city council meetings, commissioner meetings, statewide elections, as well as the presidential and nationwide elections. What's really important is that people understand that voting is local. Elections have their impact at the local level. And that's what makes Project 100 so different. We're called to leverage every resource we have in our denomination to ensure that we educate everyone on what's going on in their local area and that they use their voting right and power to make sure that policies and practices are developed that benefit the AME Zion Church, our constituents, as well as other people of color. This is what makes me excited about working with Project 100. I know that we're making a difference in the life of our young people, we're making a difference in the life of our church, and we're making a difference in the life of our country. If we leave a legacy to our children and to our grandchildren that helps them understand the sacrifice that our forefathers have made so that they have the right to vote, the right to eat where they want to, the right to live where they want to. If we help people understand that Our differences make us stronger. They do not make us weaker. They enhance our ability to be successful. And finally, if we can leverage Project 100 to really carry out the mission of Christ, to help people understand that we are all God's children and we must work together to ensure that all of God's children, regardless of our diversity, we have a right to the tenets laid down by our founding fathers of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I encourage you all to join us on this journey in the effective impact of Project 100.
We need
I stand before the monument of the beloved late U.S. Representative John Lewis, who coined the phrase, good trouble. Get into good trouble. John Lewis worked tirelessly all of his life for civil and human rights for all people. Lewis stated, "The vote is the most powerful nonviolent tool we have. We must use it." Project 100 carries that ideology forward by promoting being ready to vote, voter turnout, and civic engagement beyond the voting box. We teach and give power to eligible voters by encouraging voting in every election and voting on everything on the ballot. I had a aha moment during the recent elections. The fervor and effectiveness of our efforts across the nation, coupled with the work of many other groups like Faith Leaders, Black Lives Matters, the Poor People's Campaign, and the NAACP, helped to have record numbers actually vote in the November 2020 election. This election sent Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to the White House. I was especially wowed when Georgia elected the first Jewish and Black United States Senators, Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock. The nation experienced large voter turnout, and Georgia had the largest turnout for the runoff election in recent history. This was exceptional because most people don't return to vote for runoff elections. But January 6, 2021, we exceeded the voter turnout in the general election. Working together works. Organizing, learning, educating, and implementing our strategies in partnership with other organizations helped gain significant outcomes. But these victories led to lockstep proposed and actual laws that have restricted voting rights. Stacey Abrams has labeled these horrific efforts Jim Crow 2.0, and rightly so. They are designed to stop the election of people who do not support the conservative agenda. Lawmakers don't care how blatantly unfair the legislation or laws are. The goal is to stop people of color from voting. One example is large counties with large populations of minorities, such as Fulton County in Georgia, and Harris County in Texas, from voting. We are impacted negatively with shortened voting days and hours and changes in absentee voting regulations. Even the number of ballot boxes allotted in these states are limited. Our fight won't be easy, but we can't allow anyone to suppress our rights to vote without a fight. 47 states have in place similar laws or bills. We are the power if we never give up moving to keep or regain every right we are entitled as citizens of America. John Lewis said, if you see something, say something. We have to speak up, speak out, act out to make justice roll down like a mighty stream. Whatever your affiliation in Zion, Board of Bishops, Women Home and Overseas Missionary Society, Connectional Lay Council, Christian Education, all others. It is our responsibility to uplift the people by being actively involved. Project 100 is one way that we can be certain to do that. We must collaborate regularly to ensure that our denomination registers 100,000 new voters between the ages of 18 and 40 by February the 1st, 2022. That we have registered 250,000 voters by July the 1st, 2022. And we must commit to continuously contacting these new voters to ensure they actually vote in the primary and general elections in 2022. I ask you to do all you can, everywhere you can, to move the Project 100 agenda forward.
Stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new.
And it's been too much black blood saturating the soul of America. And if we continue to stand, maybe they will be able to include us in one nation under God.
Doing justice is not a black or white thing. Doing justice is not a Republican, Democrat, or independent thing. Doing justice is not a black thing or a blue thing. The Hebrew transliteration of justice is make things right.
When the war is won, we will be sure, we will be sure. Oh, no.
The truth be told, there have been too many slaughters. African, Mexican, and Native Americans that have been flying too far beneath the radar right here in.
We have heard the purpose, the plan, and projection of Project 100. And as you can see, the excitement, the commitment, and the passion behind Project 100. The transformative work of Project 100 has become a birthing movement of civic engagers and social justice advocates within the AME Zion Church. You're probably asking, what is the connection with Project 100 and social justice? Informing people of their right to vote, helping and encouraging participation on the local, state, and national levels of elected officials, showing up and speaking up about concerns, laws, proposals, and legislation that hurts one group of people that would hinder or eliminate any citizen or foreigner from pursuing life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is social justice. Social justice advocates, local civic engagers, faith leader activists, and ambassadors for equity sprung from the influence, engaging, and informed gatherings of Project 100 monthly. Project 100 town hall meetings sprung up, deliberate dialogues on racial disparities developed from finding on treatment of others during local municipality meetings, communications where the importance of showing up from primaries to local city council meetings were discussed, and participants were stretched, and the woke stayed woke. True social justice flows from the heart of God. When we show compassion and mercy to the poor, we show the world that God cares. This also means that when we are indifferent to the needs of the poor, we communicate to the world that God is indifferent. Loving thy neighbor means more than praying for them. Loving thy neighbor means making sure their civil rights are not infringed upon. Project 100 is a springboard for every person in the AME Zion Church, regardless of titles of leadership, to become involved in helping to make this world better, one community at a time. If every church created a pod of power called Project 100 Civic Engagers, Ambassadors for Justice, Righteous Warriors for Equity, and begin dialogue about what could help your community. Maybe trash is being piled up in an area not being cleaned up. That's environmental justice. If there's a homeless situation in your community and you follow the idea of love thy neighbor, Contact county commissioners, local city council persons, and let them know, and don't let up until you get your answers and action. That's social justice. Wondering why in your neighborhood there's no grocery stores, but there are payday loan businesses and alcohol stores? Start contacting your elected officials and tell them you and your neighbors are living in a food desert and predatory loan practices are making the poor poor. That's economic justice. When bail bonds places are popping up in your neighborhood or leaving flyers or cards around, contact your local elected officials and begin to petition to eliminate the cash bail systems that keep Black and brown bodies in jail because they can't afford the bail, leading to longer jail times for nonviolent offenses, i.e. Kalief Browder. That's criminal justice. When you begin to hear redistricting of the school system or the term rezoning, contact your school board and begin to question why. Because schools that surround apartments and lower income housing do not get a high percentage of property tax needed for funding. That's a part of economic justice, education justice. There's so much more to Project 100 than just continuing to push people to vote and register others to vote. Project 100 is a social impact tool to be used throughout Zion on every level. The movement to gather with like-minded individuals, get tips, ideas, and reinforcement on your specific area. Also, we celebrate the victories of Project 100 participants and engagers becoming a civic officer or social ministry ambassador on any level. We have a goal of developing a power bank of eligible voters and interested civic engagers of 100,000 by the end of 2021 and 250,000 eligible voters and civic engagers by July of 2022. Mid-year elections are coming. With this power bank, we can send concentrated information to states, counties, and Episcopal areas with primaries or any legislative changes. Because when the smoke clears, who is going to be there to speak up for our communities? Who is going to be there to speak up for our children? Who is going to be there to speak up for our churches? We are the leaders that we've been waiting on. So join Project 100, our monthly meetings. Be encouraged, be engaging, and let's change this world for the better, one community at a time.
May your streets be paved with gold. Yeah. Hope my whole hood make it home. Yeah. May your streets be paved with gold. Yeah. Hope my whole hood make it home.